welcome to Writer to Writer. I'm your host, Kat Filer, also known as KJ Filer. My guest today is Robin M. Adams, author of Hope, Journey of the Tiger Amulet, the first in a 3-book series. This middle grade novel not only is an adventure story that keeps kids on the edge of their seats, but it's also an educational experience incorporating fun facts about nature and cultural differences. Robin has been a writer since she was a child. She wrote, illustrated, and created her first children's picture book at the age of 6 and never stopped. She graduated with a degree in liberal arts with minors in child development and psychology. Driven by her passion for writing and a deep love for children, she became certified as a special education paraprofessional and used her skills to create educational material for children with learning differences. Robin writes teen and children's literature, and her passion for writing and teaching spans a lifetime. Hi, Robin. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Kat. How are you?
I'm great. It's so good to see you.
You too.
Let's just dive right in. Would you please tell listeners what your book is about?
Well, the first book is about 2 children, a brother and a sister, who are stranded on a deserted island. And eventually they're joined by a third child. And so it's just basically they're learning how to survive on this island. And they come up against elements of nature, and they have some fun adventures and meet some really cool creatures, actually.
They do. The main characters, can you give us the names of the main characters and then say how they know each other?
Okay. The 2 main characters are Kathy and Jeffrey. They're brother and sister. Kathy's 12 and Jeffrey's 8. And then the third main character is Chen, who comes to the island via the smuggler's boat. Yes, there are smugglers on the island as well. So the 3 kids get together, and their adventures start there, right there on the island.
And they have to escape smugglers, and they run into some odd creatures and all sorts of adventure.
And and a tidal wave that practically wipes out the island.
What inspired you to write this series?
I love to read, and when I was 12, I read Island of the Blue Dolphins.
Oh, yes.
And I thought, you know what, I would love to write a story similar. And so at the age of 12, I started writing Hope. It was a very different story back then at the age of 12. It started out with a plane crash and some other, different characters. But as an adult, I went back and rewrote the whole story. It's a bit more logical now, I think.
Yeah. So
But,
the kids end up on a desert island. Can you give us, without some spoilers, can you give us some idea of kind of some of the adventures and tell us a little bit about sort of their interactions with each other? Because I think that was one of the things I really found interesting, besides the fact that kids are going to learn about weird animals and different people too. So,
right. Well, Kathy's a typical 12-year-old girl. She can't stand her little brother. And he's a typical 8-year-old, and he drives her crazy on purpose. However, Jeffrey is highly intelligent, about 3 or 4 grades above his age level, I suppose.
yeah.
And Kathy is also intelligent, but she's also very mature for her age.
Mm-hmm.
And so at first, when they first get to the island, there's a bit of blaming each way, whose fault it is that they wound up there. But at some point, Kathy realizes how important Jeffrey is to her, and And then when Chen comes along, she winds up being responsible for both boys, and that she shoulders a bit of weight with that one, with that, worried about, making sure that they're safe. And also she tries to think about, keeping up their education. So
Yep.
they even have a little bit of school on the island.
Yep. Yep. She's sort of the mom, big sister figure in the book.
Yes.
Tries to keep everybody going. And Chen fits right in, which is really cool. He comes from the smugglers, but he gets to the group and he's a part of it right away.
Yeah, Chen was actually a fun add-in because with his cultural background and the way he was raised, he's able to teach them also some things to help them survive on the island. How to cook fish,
Yeah.
clean fish and eat it, and um, just a variety of different things that he brings to the relationship of the three kids. And but also he's traumatized by the death of his mother. She actually dies on the boat, the smuggler's boat.
Yeah.
And when he escapes, he still has nightmares and whatnot, about that. So, but Kathy and Jeffrey are just very open, and they take him in right away, and they all become brothers and sister,
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
family. So,
And even with the death of the mother, it's still a teen fiction. Who would you say is your ideal reader?
um, the book targets 8 to 12-year-olds because I know I was a very high level reader when I was a child, and so if they're high level readers at the age of 8, they shouldn't have any problem reading the
Okay.
book. I do love to challenge with vocabulary. So there's plenty of wonderful, rich descriptions and vocabulary in the story, and fun facts too.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of empowerment. The kids are very empowered to do things. They support one another, and they figure things out, which is
mhm.
really good for kids to read about because here they are in this situation and it's obviously dangerous and it's obviously an exotic environment for them. And but between all of them, they work together to do a lot of problem solving. And I thought that was a really good lesson for the kids. So,
And they still they're still allowed to be kids too.
yeah.
And their bash ball game, that was fun. Um, the turtle beach eruption,
Hmm.
that was one of my favorite scenes to write, and that was sparked by a YouTube video of, or actually it was a Facebook video, I think, of somebody took video of this turtles just coming up, baby
Yeah.
turtles out of the sand. So I thought, you know what, that would be a fun scene for my story.
Yeah. So what are is that that one's one of your favorite scenes. What are your favorite scenes?
um, that one for sure, and then the tidal wave was, or the
Yeah.
tsunami was really one of my favorite scenes because it's the beginning of the end for them on the island. And it's the point where Kathy realizes she has no choice but to get them off. She has to figure out a way
Yeah.
and to save Jeffrey, when he falls ill after the tidal wave. So that was, and the introduction of Chen
Hmm.
was also one of my favorite parts because I absolutely adore his character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he will come to play quite a bit more in the third book that I'm writing now.
Okay. All right. And we'll talk more about that too. You had to do an awful lot of research for this book. What are some of the strange or weird things that you learned? And then how much of it did you use in the book?
Um, the island one, it was right about the time that my husband and I went to Hawaii. And I was looking forward to going to Hawaii because of it's very similar to the island that the kids are on. So the banyan trees
Okay.
were fascinating to me. The fact that you could actually hide in the roots of a banyan tree. So I immediately knew that that was something I was going to put into this story. All the colorful fish that we encountered in Hanama Bay. And there was a lot of research. I have about a 4-inch thick notebook full of pictures because I'm a very visual person. Um, Pictures and weather facts, you name it, it's in there.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting things was in this particular region, the Fijian island area, they don't have mosquitoes, which is
Okay.
what I thought was, I mean, according to the research I did, they don't have mosquitoes,
Hmm.
which I felt was an interesting fact. They also don't have too many dangerous animals.
Hmm.
Like the snake that bites Jeffrey is it would its venom would actually just make you sick. It wouldn't like kill you.
Right.
The
Yeah.
only real dangerous ones were in the water.
Hmm.
The water snakes. I can't remember exactly what the name of it was. And some of the critters in the water, those were the dangerous things.
Yeah.
I don't even think that, that the tarantulas on the island are poisonous.
Yeah. I don't know how they are there. I do know that they make a big deal out of them out west, and they're just large, but not particularly lethal. So,
Right.
just scary.
Exactly.
But there are
Yeah.
some.
To me, big spiders are fascinating. I wouldn't want one near me, but they're fun to watch, and their spider webs are amazing. But
Yeah.
so I definitely had to put that in there. And then there's also a mystery person on the island, and so I thought that would be a fun thing to do. They actually get into a bit of a battle with it in one of the chapters, and person. So anyway,
Yeah.
um,
So did the interest in the material come first before the vacation, or did the vacation spark that, or was that kind of side by side?
oh no, the book, this material came first, and then
Okay.
um, yeah, going to the Hawaiian island was actually just added research.
What nice research.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
I'm sorry, honey, we're gonna have to go to Hawaii. I have a book to research. Oh well. Oh,
Yeah, now if I could just get to Australia, we'll be good.
there you go.
Too
There you
late
go.
now, it's already out, but
You've
that book
written a
is
lot
already out.
about that too. I mean, you wrote several. I don't want to spoil it, but you wrote some pretty cool things in there. And one of them I did know about. And I wondered if you were going to go there. I knew that the animal was in it, but I didn't know if you were going to go to the cubicle excrement. And you did.
Ah, yes, yes, the spitting camels.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was very interesting. So I understand one reason you wrote the series is to get middle grade readers interested in other cultures.
Mhm. Yeah, the first book doesn't have a whole lot of culture per se, um, except maybe Chen, but they do spend some time in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So the first book doesn't have as much culture as the other two do. I really, in the second book, Strength, I I was fascinated by the Aboriginal culture there,
Yeah.
and I wanted to show the kids just the differences and the similarities just from the Americans versus Australians, and
Yeah.
but I just love the art for the Aboriginal, the art, their folk tales and whatnot. So I really enjoyed putting more into the second book,
Mhm.
with the culture. Now, you do get a little taste of culture with Chen and how much he adds to their relationship,
Yeah.
and knowing how to cut fish, and how to actually go fishing,
Hmm.
create your own fishing pole or whatever, spear to get the fish. So that was, yeah, unfortunately, that was about as much culture. And then you've got the American
Well,
culture for the kids.
yeah, but it's still for an American kid who's never been anywhere or really been around other people, kind of been just with the what the average American child knows in a neighborhood. I thought it was pretty interesting to have Chen teaching them things because he would know, but also here is again the empowerment, the idea that the kids could do things on their own. They're in a scary situation. The smugglers are still there. So they're having to find a safety sort of way out, but they also are along the way learning new skills. So I thought it was a very educational book, but I'm not sure that the kids would realize that they're being taught anything, which is good.
Right. I mean, it's all in fun. Like they learn how to climb coconut trees.
Yeah.
What kid knows how to climb a coconut tree?
Yeah.
So, and I actually roll that over into the second book where they teach the Aboriginal boy how to climb a tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, it's
so,
quite sweet. Yeah.
and they use that skill to hide from the smugglers. Chen teaches Jeffrey how to swim, and that it also comes in handy when the smugglers just, okay, not to spoil it, but
Yeah, I know. It's very difficult. There's so much in there that's very interesting, but if you would say it, it's liable to spoil it. So what were
yeah,
some of your favorite themes in the story?
themes.
Well, family.
Well, yeah, family.
They were kind of found family and family.
And I really liked when Kathy uses her ingenuity to
Yeah.
use the uh, media to reach out. Oh, how do I even say that without giving it away? Um, to
Yeah.
keep Chen and her family. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
it was good. It was a very clever way of doing that. So, and if lead listeners are thinking, well, what happened? Well, you'll have to read it. So there
right.
you go. What
Uh,
did you like most about writing the book?
just being, I did so much research on the island. I felt like it was actually there.
Hmm.
Even though I created the island, it was very real to me. And when I finally finished that book, I was actually disappointed because now I couldn't go back to that island anymore.
Yeah.
So I felt like a part of me was missing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I was talking to another author recently about why we reread books we've already read. And my reason for doing it is because the places that I love and my friends, which the characters become, live there. So I want to go back and visit. And the only way to do that is to read the book again.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Or in your case, write another one.
True, true. So I got to visit, let's see, the island, and then the outback, and then Taiwan.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. We're almost around the world.
exactly.
So I know there's a book 2 and a book 3. Book 2 is newly released. Is that correct?
Yes, it just came out last month.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Well, that one, I forgot to mention that they do find a magical amulet on the first island. And then that magical amulet takes them on the journey through all three books. The second one, they go to Australia to visit Captain Joe,
Mm-hmm.
who they meet at the end of the first book, and then are promptly kidnapped by the smugglers and wind up on their own in the outback. And so being chased by the smugglers, struggling against, dehydration and hunger, and just the heat, because Australia outback is very hot.
Yeah.
And then all the creatures that they encounter out in the desert. And then they wind up, coming across the Aboriginal boy and his grandfather. So, but then from there, the amulet takes them to Taiwan,
Mm-hmm.
where their final goal with the amulet is to find its owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so they travel through the jungles and through the concrete jungles as well,
Mm-hmm.
in search of the owner of the amulet.
Yeah. So hope, strength,
And then courage.
and courage. So yeah, all great themes for the kids too. So
Well, each title of the book is a symbol on the amulet. The amulet has three symbols surrounding a center symbol, which they'll find out what that is at the end of the series.
okay. And so book 1 and 2 are out. Is 3 out or soon to be released?
No, 3 is going to take a little more time.
Okay.
I'm about to finish the last couple of chapters, and then I'm going to do the rewrite. So hopefully in about 4 to 6 months, hopefully.
Okay. Sometime in 2004. But the kids have the first and second to hop on, and by that
Exactly.
time be around
And
for the
that'll give
next
them
one.
time to
Yeah.
wait
And
for the next one.
you've written other books too. Can you tell us about your other books?
I have 2 picture books, Dancing with Grandpa, based on my experiences with my grandfather who had Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
And it's a fun little story about a little girl who goes to visit him at a nursing home. And she discovers the one thing that he still held on to, even though he forgot everything else. He never forgot how to dance.
Yeah.
And then the other one is based on my memory of being up on top the roof and watching fireworks from the rooftop with my grandfather. And so I've turned that into a all year long experience. And so those 2 are out. They came out in November.
Mm-hmm.
And they're for about, I would say, 4 to 6 year olds.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Just in time for Christmas. Anybody looking for something for their grandkids or kids? So yeah. Um, so then are you working on something separate from any of these, or is that last one the last thing that you have going right now?
No, actually, I'm working on the 3rd journey book, but also a ghost story
Yeah.
for young adults.
Okay.
And that has been a challenge, but yet fun, a lot of fun to write.
Yeah. I've
And
had
so
privy to a little bit of it, and I would certainly buy it for any of the young adults that I know. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope it comes out soon.
and there may be a sequel to that at some point.
Oh,
I'm
that
not
would
sure.
gr-
Yeah, and I'm also thinking of a separate series using the Kathy, Jeffrey, and Shen in 3 more books. I just have to figure out where
Yeah.
and what's going to take them on that adventure.
Yep.
So,
Just have to find another part of the world, but they're a great trio. So that'll be fun.
yeah, I think together they can conquer just about anything.
Yep. I think you're right.
You know, the original title was Rascals and Scoundrels.
Well, that's a good one. I would say that could be a subtitle. So yeah. So kids listening, it's definitely Rascals and Scoundrels. That's great. So supposing a producer gave you a call and said, I'd like to put your books on television, where would you like to see them appear?
Oh, well, that would be like so amazing. I could definitely see it being a TV series for kids on Netflix.
Yeah.
They have a lot of similar programs, Stranger Things and whatnot. It would fit right in there, I think.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think back in the day, Nickelodeon would have snapped them up in a minute. So yeah.
Well, that is true. That I tend to forget about Nickelodeon, but yeah, that's another possibility.
You never know either. I had back when I used to do publicity, I had an author as a client, Deborah Morris, and she wrote a series called Real Kids, Real Adventures, and she was just writing it for Reader's Digest as little short pieces, and they turned into books, and the next thing you know, they were a television series, and they had them
No,
on, yeah, and it was very popular. So you never know.
fingers
So
crossed.
yeah. So you also are an artist and a photographer.
Oh, I dabble, yes, and crafter.
You more than dabble. You're on your author website, which I will put at the bottom, listeners. As always, I put all the links. There's a lot of stuff on there. As a matter of fact, I'd known you for quite a while before I realized you were into photography, and I'm very impressed. And also, I have one of your paintings hanging in my living room. So
Yes, you
this
do.
multi-talented woman here. So,
Yep.
and never bragging about it either. So yeah, we all had to peel that out of you a little bit at a time. What else does she do?
Well, I realized, you know what? It's time to follow my passions, and art and writing are definitely my passions.
Yeah, it
It,
definitely
it,
shows.
they bring me great joy, and hopefully my joy will fill up my books and help readers to
Yeah.
enjoy reading and writing and research. I love the research.
Yeah, the research is so fun. I have no almost no listeners are aspire to be writers, so we don't usually talk about the art, but I just did a very interesting class, and I didn't think it was going to be as big of a deal as it was. I did a class for teen fiction, and I couldn't believe kids showed up.
Oh,
And
wow.
so the reason I mention this is because you also, all of your critique groups are really for adults, but you do nurture young writers, and you also nurture young adult writers and regular and adult writers too. So normally we don't talk about the art, but I would love for you to talk about the critique group that you started, and it's quite a deal there in Atlanta. You've got several that people can show up to.
Yes, we have virtual and in person. For me, the critique groups are a place where writers can be with others, because writing is a solitary
Mm-hmm.
hobby, and so it's a place where writers can just be together, network. But I also want the groups to be educational,
Mm-hmm.
to nurture writers, to let them know that they can do it.
Yeah.
Um, we're all teachers, and we're all learning as well. We learn
Mm-hmm.
from each other. Your skills can teach me, my skills can teach you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the whole purpose, to educate and motivate. When people know we're going to have a group, they're inspired to write,
Mhm.
motivated to write. And so, and then sometimes even if you don't have something to read, if you just want to throw an idea around
Mhm.
and get some, suggestions on where to go with it, that is always helpful too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
all of us have used that tool at one point or another within the
Absolutely.
groups.
Oh, if it
But
wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have a book. The other thing too is I think that for people who are exploring the idea, um, no, maybe I do want to write something. Well, that's a good place to go because it's friendly. Everybody has been at the beginning at some point, and everybody seems to remember what that was like too. I have yet to ever suggest that someone come to one of your groups and hear anything less than thank you because they were excited to realize that there were other people out there. Like you said, it's a very lonely occupation.
it
So
is, and you have to start somewhere. Everybody, Stephen King, Dean Koontz, they all started somewhere.
yeah.
And if you've got that little itch in you telling you want to write a story, you're a writer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now you just need to acquire the tools to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where our groups come in to play. And we have seen a lot of success, and you are one of them.
So we've
A
got
lot
some,
of people publishing their books and
yeah.
gaining confidence in their writing.
I know
So,
you've had some young writers join. Who's the youngest currently a member?
oh, we have a brilliant young lady. I think she's the youngest out of the group,
Yeah.
and she is amazing,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
She's in college.
Yes. Well, actually, I think she graduated. She's now in the
Oh, did she? Okay.
working world.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know that a person is a good writer if they can evoke intense feelings and emotions from your readers.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is that what I'm trying to say? Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, she had brought us all to tears with one of her scenes. And when you can do that, you're a dang good writer.
Yeah, for sure. And also as a reader, I think so. You're my first teen or young adult, or I'm sorry, not young adult, but teen or children's author that has been on the show. So I wanted to mention, and I'm sure that what we have is parents listening at this point and deciding, is this a good read for my child? But I have to say that even with young readers like that, evoking emotion in the story helps children sometimes open up and discuss things. I happen to have gifted your book to a niece, and it caused a couple of conversations where she clearly wanted to talk to
Oh,
somebody about something. Oh no,
oh.
they were great
Okay.
conversations, but why she didn't go to her parents, I don't know. I guess I'm the cool aunt. I don't know. So I think maybe just gifting her a book was a good thing because she knew I like to read and people don't think about books that way, I guess. I do, but maybe if you're
Right.
not a writer, you don't think about that. So Robin, is there a question I haven't asked that you wished that I had asked?
Um, no, I think you covered about everything. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been an honor and a pleasure. And I want to thank you for making the time to be with us. Listeners, remember the nicest thing you can do for your favorite author is to leave a review. And you do not have to write a lot, or you can write nothing. You can just assign stars for that matter. And authors really love you for that. And it also keeps them in business. So please take a minute to go wherever it was you bought that and possibly consider cross-referencing that to other sites. So if you bought it on Amazon, think about putting it on Barnes and Noble or things like that. And also, we just alluded to this, but it's the season of giving, but all year is the season for books. So, and especially for your book loving family and friends, And you may not know somebody's size or their favorite color, but you probably can figure out what kind of books they like to read. And that is the whole mission of Writer to Writer, is for us all to find our next read and our next author to love. So as always, I'll post the links below where you can find Robin, her books, and keep up to date on her passion projects. Thank you, Robin, so much. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you, Kat, for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks.